Embark has gone ahead and given me early access to Arc Raiders full game. So yes, I have the entire game here. I'm going to go over all the best settings that you should be running, some of the cool things and settings that even some creators were figuring out as the playtest went on, and some of the cool things and features you can utilize. What's up, World Utopia here, back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things Arc Raiders. So let's head into the settings here. We'll go over each and every single item. That way you can kind of understand what's going on. The reload progress section here in setting actually does give you a on-screen kind of tooltip where it's showing you the reload icon as it's being reloaded. For certain guns, it'll even show you like 1 tick, 2 tick, 3 tick. You see like it kind of like in the circle section there, it shows you different ticks. That's actually every single ammo it's reloading in that gun. So a lot of like pistols have that icon there showcasing that. Some other guns don't really have that sort of section. They'll show you like subsections of it. And some actually do require you to do a full reload before you can use the gun. So direction damage is kind of very simple here. It's just going to show you where you're getting hit. This one will kind of give you a better 3D scope of damage direction. If you're getting hit from the right up center, it's going to give you a nicer 3D, whereas if you turn that off, it's just kind of not going to give you that damage indicator and is actually going to make it a little bit more cinematic if you wanted to do so. Obviously, these last ones here, very simple. Crossplay, you could turn on and off. For the server, I would recommend not having this on automatic. During the server slam, I had it on automatic, and I was getting paired to people that even were from different regions. So if you want, and depending on your language there, you're going to want to select your region. So for me, North America, I'm going to have that set there. Of course, they have a join Discord button. That's just going to send you to their Discord. Further controls, I wouldn't change too much here. This is completely on you. I don't have a ton of recommendations for this. I think their control system is very good. If you have mouse buttons, there might be a few things that you might want to use for your mouse buttons. And this is not left and right mouse button. That's like shooting. I mean like your M4 and M5, it's usually called. In fact, if I see here, if I go like this, they call it thumb mouse button here. A lot of games, they call it M5 and M4, but it's basically your mouse button, which is like the front and back when you're on a browser, when you want to go forward and backward on a browsing setting. The one thing I would recommend changing, though, is your push to talk. Push to talk is defaulted on Z and B. I find B to be a struggle key for me. I think it's kind of far. If you have very, very, very long fingers, maybe you could do B, and it might not be for some people, but I actually do recommend, because V is not set on anything else and wasn't set on anything else, I would recommend setting this to V and then your proximity voice chat to Z, if you use push to talk at least. So I would set those two up just like that. Makes it fairly easy. These are far away, so your right side is talking to your teammates. Oh, I found it. It's right here.
You found it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right here. Your left side is talking to everybody else in the world.
What's the weight limit on this elevator?
I think we all extract at the same time. That's a good note for our first grade.
At the same time, and we'll all run into each other.
And of course, they do have some nice settings here, like sprint to hold and sprint toggle. Sprint toggle, obviously, you're just going to run and sprint, whereas if you have the hold button, you have to actually hold down your left shift. They have a few of the toggle keys here that you can swap out. Now for graphics settings, but I will have a few recommendations depending on your actual setup here. And then I'm also going to apply this to people that have a 4000 series or newer graphics card. But overall, you obviously want to maintain a good frame rate. So the one setting here you're probably looking at is DLSS frame generation. I have this on 2 times. I would never recommend going any higher. I cannot on my 4000 series. If you have a 5000 series, you can go to 4 times. I highly would. It don't matter what your frame rate is, I would never recommend going to 4 times. 2 times, though, if you have a 4000 series or newer. Now, here's the thing. You want to have a baseline of 60 plus FPS without frame generation. So you should turn this off, see what your frame rate is in-game. There actually is a little performance thing here at the bottom that you can turn on. You can turn on simple, detailed, or even disabled. Just have it on simple for right now. You really only need the FPS counter to just kind of see where your frame's at. And then you could see, you should try for at least 60 FPS, if not more. In fact, I like to have near 100 FPS before I turn on frame generation, as you actually will lose some frames from the 2 times. This game does have DLSS 4 tech, and it does have the newest NVIDIA drivers capability, at least wise, so you can utilize that. But yeah, I would try for at least 60 FPS before you turn on DLSS frame generation. Now, these settings do get turned on by default when you turn on the 2 times. So if you see if I turn off NVIDIA reflex low latency, that actually does get turned on automatically. So, and then it will disable VSync, which is normally for frame generation. So in case that didn't happen, you should do that there. Next up here, more than likely, you're going to want to use an upscaler. It's better than anti-aliasing. So you can actually kind of, and the thing that's nice here is they actually you could turn off anti-aliasing, which is super nice there. You can also use any of the upscalers. I would always recommend using an upscaler. I think the tech is pretty good now. There is some stuff you could make an argument for, but I think for now it's pretty good. Now, if you are picking DLSS as the option, then you want to use the Transformer model, as that is the newest model. The CNN is the previous one. As you see, it's DLSS 2 and 3, where DLSS 4 is the Transform model, and it does actually perform a lot better, so go with the newer one. And I would always recommend trying to do quality over any other option. If you had to, balance is fairly useful as well. Of course, for field of view, this is your own option here. 80 seemed to be really nice. 70 felt a little bit close. Once I moved it to 80, it did have a better visual representation, I feel like. It does also mention this can have a major impact performance on both GPU and CPU. I didn't really notice it too much, but if you do, maybe try putting it back down to 70, which is default. Of course, motion blur off. More than likely you want that off. The rest of the settings here is going to tailor to your system. I would always disable or turn down the anti-aliasing, especially if you have a DLSS or upscaling model. There is really no reason to have AA enabled. In fact, you can even turn off AA with this option here. So I'm not really sure why it's even an option down here or why you can't set it to off. Hopefully they do give you that option eventually, but I would more than likely turn anti-aliasing to low at the very minimum. The rest, again, is up to you depending on what you want to do. I also do have idle energy saving disabled, which will limit the frame rate when you're in the main menu, and also the inactive window energy setting, which also does limit the frame rate. Again, both of those are options I do have disabled. Now, jumping into the audio section, we do have something really cool to look at, and this was the thing that people didn't really understand while playing the game. There actually is this Raider voice beta, and what this actually allows you to do is actually change your in-game voice to whatever you want. So it's basically kind of like having a soundboard or even a voice modification that you can utilize in-game. You can change, yes, your own voice and how people hear it. And the voice that's here is it kind of exactly how they'll hear it. The cool thing is you can set this for everybody, or you can turn this off entirely, or you can set it to only proximity, meaning that people in your party chat will hear your normal voice, or people in proximity chat will hear your modified voice. So the voice examples I'll go over here.
Hey Raider, can you hear me all right? Good.
Hey Raider, can you hear me all right? Good.
Hey Raider, can you hear me all right? Good.
Hey Raider, can you hear me all right? Good.
Hey Raider, can you hear me all right? Good.
Hey Raider, can you hear me all right? Good.
Hey Raider, can you hear me all right? Can you hear me all right? Good.
Hey Raider, can you hear me all right? Good. Let's go.
And as you see, there is a variance between male and female there, depending on which voice you want. Yes, even if you're a male, you can make yourself sound female, and if you're a female, you can make yourself sound male. So kind of cool there. You can play back and forth with those voice lines. You will sound pretty much exactly like this. It does kind of depend on certain people. I noticed that sometimes when you set it to female, some people sounded young, other people did sound like a girl when I did it. My teammates did tell me that mine actually did sound like a girl or a female, so it was kind of funny there to just kind of toy around with this voice selection modification that you could do in-game. Again, really fun to kind of toy with. Hopefully you kind of get the gist there of understanding that one. Now, there's a ton of crosshair section stuff here. I guarantee people are going to have their custom crosshair. I don't have anything for you today to go over that custom crosshair, but you can change the colors, obviously, and kind of mess around with that depending on what you want. The thickness. One of the major things that matters here is to override the crosshair shape. Right now, it's the normal cross, but you can then change it to circle or T-cross, rounded diamond, the angled radio lines, or even again back to cross. Now, what I will say is different weapons, when this is turned off, will actually variate through these crosshairs. So depending on what weapon you have when you turn this off, it will actually go through them on certain weapons. So I just have it off and let the game modify it for me, but you might have a preference there for those. Again, pretty much everything else here is kind of your own stuff. There is some stuff here like look response curve for the controller. They have it on experimental, linear. Not exactly 100% sure on what this would actually do, as I'm not a controller player, but there's a ton of stuff there. Mouse and keyboard, again, your sensitivity. If you want to invert, you can. As I mentioned, there's only really one control with the mouse and keyboard that I would change, or the two here, which is push to talk, just to make it a little bit easier for you. Overall, though, it should go over all the settings. Hopefully, you kind of got that down, the gist overall. Eventually, maybe I'll do a gameplay and graphics settings comparison and kind of go through those. Unfortunately, I cannot hop back into the game to test those, but I ran about 180 to 200 FPS. With FrameGen and with these current settings with a 4070 Ti Super and a 5600X CPU. overall, should I cover for today's video. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and until the next one, deuces.